Good afternoon to everyone, and this is your Dupo speaking. And of course, we are now live on air and online on our DP24 General TV. Of course, this is Team Mapping 101 Thursdays on our Everything Science-Based Programming, which happens every Thursday, and tomorrow will be our DP in Focus. In this episode, we have the latest update with regards to the development of the roadway that entails the possible short or alternate routing coming from General Trias in order to ease out all sorts of congestion woes that are being experienced, particularly in the situation for Tejero interchange, particularly on most jeepney routes that are traversing through. And likewise, General Trias Pansa Bypass Roadway will be mapped as well. And likewise, we are about to correct something that requires our attention. Supposedly that it must be a standard General Trias dash Pansa Bypass Road without any sort of suffixes that is being placed by an errant mapper. And unfortunately, this is not the case wherein an errant mapper will going to add unnecessary suffixes that would pose a danger to our mapping as well. And so without further ado, let's switch into this Java OpenStreetMap editor as well for our immediate fixes that requires our attention as well. And for us to avoid some sort of background noise, we have disabled our fan systems. And let's begin this editing as well. And we might go into a full screen. And let's switch into this one. Such erratic editing may pose an issue wherein we have to take an action and of course we have to do something that would entail a further correction as needed. And this time, this is the fix our map of the Mapping 101 Thursdays. And we might need to download additional bits of roadway that needs our attention as well. And it says here, newly developed roadway that is yet to be open to the public. And we will trace something that might be needed to check. And of course, we have to check this one. Possibly, if there are anything needed to be checked And here's the correction that is needed right now. Let's say we have General Trias Tansa Bypass Road. Let's remove the unnecessary suffixes that causes some sort of horrendous cluttering that has to be removed. And we must see to it that it is being renamed successfully. And if we could remember this one on our previous fix the map segment of the Mapping 101 Thursdays, that entails some sort of more detailed corrections that we have needed, especially on the missing roadways that needs to be fixed. And unfortunately, for some reason, that our software is hanging, we might need to restart the software after the break. So please stay with us for the traffic updates provided by Waze. We are back already on our Mapping 101 Thursdays. And of course, we have some announcements while we are restarting our JOSM editor, wherein at some point it got unresponsive earlier while in the middle of the correction, wherein we have to do something for such corrections that has to be done in our fix the map segment. And previously, we have corrected the general areas retention basin that has been shown up on your screen, and that area got expanded already, along with the Dang Hari extension correction. Of course, it is not fully concretized, And likewise, we have mapped already the missing bridge and the river crossing and everything. Likewise, we have to check out the development of the Cavite Laguna Expressway, in which this alignment follows the suit from a certain developer that vacates the two division, the A and the B, or the 1 and the 2, whichever phase it is, in order to accommodate the expressway construction as planned. And for some reason, some of the subdivisions that got developed already have needed to be expropriated and deconstructed or demolished as a result. And this roadway has to be realigned in order to make room for the expressway as well. And previously, as you can see like this, we have corrected already the high roadway alignment. And as far as you can see, there is a missing roadway segment that needs to be linked. We are yet to be sure regarding this one, so kindly chat it right away on our chat box or comment down below if you have watched the team replay. And likewise, we have to check everything if this would be possible to be mapped, particularly the bypass roadway that is about to be mapped as well. And yesterday, if you have noticed something wherein we got offline, we apologize for some sort of inconveniences that sometimes it's beyond our control. And of course, we have to check this out. That something has to be corrected already. The access tags has to be added as well. Because of the newly developed roadway that is yet to be open to the public. And likewise, we have to add some sort of imageries courtesy of S3 and Maxar. And that being said, here is that once these portions got open fully, then it would be a full blast to ease such congestion. And we are about to show it to you some sort of, developments that coming from our fellow vlogger Progreso Pilipinas, but we cannot show it to you due to copyright reasons. And of course, we have to follow the due process. And that includes the licensing fees that we have to pay for the copyright owner. And likewise, we have to, go for some sort of real-time updates. And let's go back to our initial location. Once again, for those in General Trias City and Tansa as well, there would be an opening of the alternate route in order to ease out some sort of congestion being experienced or being endured in Tejero. And likewise, yesterday, we have encountered some sort of congestion issues that, well, being said, that our commuter have endured. And of course, we have to undergo most of these modernization efforts that is needed badly. And like what we have mentioned, is that the busway and even the cycleway has been mapped in Pasay City, but as far as we know, several motorists have even committing such sabotage to the protective barricades that are being placed by the government and even the NGOs as well. And we don't tolerate that practice. Of course, there is a huge penalty already for such sabotage that is being committed by most errant motorists. A prime example for this one would be the bus lane infringement, particularly in most parts of Pasay-Makati border. And we have zero tolerance already, particularly in this border of Pasay and Makati, when in this portion of Makati-Pasay border, so many infringements on the busway that got occurred ended up being apprehended somewhere here. And that causes some sort of sabotage against the commuters as well. And all commuters have deserved such an exclusivity of the busway that has a purpose. And more information will be on tomorrow's DP in Focus live session. But for the most important one is that we have checked already the BGC NX route or the North Express route, and we might need to calibrate this portion of roadway, particularly because of the two-way attribute. The one in and the one out. Due to the, in particular, due to the, what you call this, division of the roadway here that entails some sort of correction. But before that, we might have to publish this one. And we will rename everything into DP24 research based on various sources. And of course, we have to check whether this would be corrected as well. And right as we can see that this needs to be corrected as well. And now for our corrections in progress. We have to place a node here and then cut into 2 or 3 pieces rather. And there you have it. Let's move towards the standardization. Once again, the standardization of the lane markings and one-way attributes that would entail the sophisticated roadway system that needs to be fixed. And that being said is that we have to split everything into multiple pieces. And therefore, we have removed already those unnecessary number of pieces. And likewise, we have to be more careful on the merging because if there are tagging conflicts, you could end up having a dialogue like this. So for this example, we have a forward and a backward. Say we have a true and a right, and then we have a true also for the backwards. Then let's merge these two. And there you have it. This must be assumed a pedestrian crossing. And we need to check out for some sort of corrections. For the southbound, we have to correct this one because it's technically a wrong-way maneuver, something that needs to be avoided at all costs. And through our correction system that takes place, only the northbound could have this one. And therefore, we have to do something for the 50-meter distance for the road markings that are prescribed. And of course, we have to merge these two. And then the road or one-way attribute has to be implemented. Therefore, we have to change this into tertiary. Ever since this is an alternative route, this one must be a tertiary as well, as we are investigating this. And this has to be ended up here. Most probably, we might need to download something here for the missing connection, particularly for TANSA or a roadway link, something that we have never encountered before like this. And we should download this one. In particular, we have a proposed roadway that is yet to be updated, still on the residential attributes. And who knows that this might be ended up being a tertiary roadway in the near future. And likewise, this has to be checked with the bypass roadways that needs to be mapped as well. And we might need to rename into some sort of a standardized name. Currently, we have the Heros Bypass Road as its working name. Of course, we will change something into General Trias Diversion Road. And as the name implies here, these will be directed through the stadium and other facilities that the city government have implemented so far. We are going to use the standardized working name, but for some reason, we have another technical glitch again. And we have something to find it out more. when we are coming back after this break with the traffic updates. Okay, we are back here on our Mapping 101 Thursdays. And while we are still fixing some sort of technical glitches that we have encountered once again, where in fact, due to a low memory that needs to be addressed, of course, we have to go back again to General Trias City, wherein we have to fix something here, and even Tansa as well. And sometimes some sort of a slowdowns that got occurring on our end, and we apologize for some sort of technical difficulties that we have faced. And yes, of course, we have to undergo some sort of, you know what, reassessment in our technical specifications that needs to be checked right as well. But here in our Mobbing 101 Thursdays, we have to fix something that entails that is serving navigation. And of course, we have still monitoring the broadband. And of course, our 150 megabits per second got successfully tested in this PC. And therefore, we are currently studying the possibility of upgrading into 500 and above megabits per second. And that's the reason we have to undergo some sort of changes to the implementation of our DP24 medias and even engineerings. DP24 engineering and media collaborations rather. Especially, you know what? There's something that needs to be corrected as well. We might have to disable the full screen for the Java OpenStreetMap editor. And likewise, we have to check out, particularly on the OpenStreetMap. Once again, we have to undergo some sort of editing that requires our attention as well. Let's re-download this one once again. And this one must be a general trias, but in order for us to be sure, let's save this one first. And don't forget to save on every iteration of the edit in order to safeguard against some sort of data losses. Sometimes in the event of the software glitch, there is a possibility of a data losses as well. And we have several messages coming from our fellow MAPI community or something that is about a commercially operated dormitories or board houses. Unless if it's inside the university premises, then of course, building equals dormitory will be sufficient. And right here in our base, we are seeing some sort of cloudy skies here in Dasmania City. And likewise, we have to be careful on the renaming of such objects in order not to repeat this issue of hanging software. Let's download this once again. Then save as necessary. in order not to repeat some sort of issues that the data losses got occurred. We have deselected this one, and we have to select this tertiary. And please make sure that you have selected everything as needed, except for the highway that requires to be, you know what, be checked as well. And therefore, we have an idea wherein we have to rename something like general trias, but for some reason, we have to save it as necessary in order to avoid some sort of data losses that we might encounter. That's something that has not to be happened. And of course, we have to wait for some minutes to save everything. But it seems that this window does not respond. And we regret to inform you that we might need to restart this machine. Of course, we will air the part 2 by next week in a pre-recorded format. So thank you very much for tuning in to our Mapping 101 Thursdays, and we should stop sharing. And of course, we have to conclude this as early as possible due to some sort of technical issues that we have encountered. Of course, we don't want this to happen so quickly that this may escalate into something that's unimaginable. And of course, we might have to increase the memory level into a 32 gigabyte. And our Firefox needs to be refreshed as well. And still we are live here on DP24 General TV. And for some reason, we have encountered the worst technical issues that have hampered our ability to map our live session. And by the way, we are still sticking into the open strip editing that has to be processed right away. But wait, before we let you go, we just have to thank everyone, especially the MAPI community from the OpenStreetMap Philippines, have helped us to mold something into like on-site surveying with our contribution and knowledge that needs to be shared. And of course, we might sooner or later introduce some sort of data sharing agreement that would be more fully compatible for the open database license. And all royalties will be waived for the MAPI community as well. Something that we have to contribute in order for us to progressively align with this, you know, a better position for us to entail and have a wonderful evening to all. This has been your dear Paul. Be safe, be well, stay sane, and try, and you are loved. We should do a part 2 next week.